Hi, my loves. We're back. And today is the big day that a lot of you have been waiting for. And that is when we start talking about my weight loss story. So I'm very excited about it. I'm very passionate about it. And I hope we'll be led into the right direction, that this may be of benefit to one of you or to many of you. So without further ado, let's go right into it. Okay, so today I just have to really quickly, before I start talking about my weight loss story, I have to tell you something because I want to dedicate this video, and I'm deciding this right now. I want to dedicate this video to a person who has been such a blessing on my life, a person that I did not know something like 6 weeks ago, and who has grown to be like a mixture of a best friend and a mother and an angel and I don't know, like everything. And I don't even know how I deserve being so blessed. I'm talking about you and you know who you are. Anyway. This person has blessed me so much in so many ways. I can't even put it in words, and if I tell you what she did for me, then it's going to look like I'm fishing for more people to do that. So that's why I'm not going to mention it, but let's just say she has been amazing and a huge support, and let's leave it at that. And I just want to bless you. You're on the other side of the world, but you're right here with me in my heart, and thank you. Thank you for everything. And may you be blessed and your family always in everything. I truly love you. As I love all of you, don't get jealous. Another very small thing I have to mention is that when I'm talking about my personal weight loss story or weight gain story, because that is basically where we have to begin with, so it makes sense to build it up, to know what we're talking about. When I'm saying that I'm fat, or that I was fat, or that I was obese, or when I'm talking in general, also maybe in the coming videos about fat people losing weight or whatever, it's not about body shaming. I know people are very sensitive about this subject, and I am too, but I have to say it somehow. So please don't fault me for calling the kettle black, because fat is fat. I know has become like a hurtful thing to say, but if I say every time I want to say fat, if I say weight challenged people, then my videos are going to be 1.5 hours long, and already some of you are complaining to me that my videos are too long. So that's what it is, okay? I am not here to judge anyone. If you are weight challenged and you're suffering, then this is for you. And if you are overweight out there and you're totally fine with that and you feel good and you feel like this is your place to be, then that's also fine, okay? So then just sit back and have a coffee and spend some time with me and hear me out. But I truly hope, and I want this video to be blessed for that reason, that someone out there will have some gain from what I'm going to say. And I want to ask God to help me to find the right words and to say the right things. And I hope that someone out there will be blessed by this and maybe even turn their lives around. So it's not in my hands. I'm just a tool for this. So I just really want God to be in this and work something through me. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to say. Okay, the other thing is that I'm not a doctor. Okay, when I'm getting into the tips and tricks that I used, please take it with a grain of salt. You are in a different position, or in a different, like, your body is different and your life is different. Please get yourself checked out by a doctor. Be under medical supervision when you're doing this, as was I. So I did not do that on my own. I was being supervised by professionals. So please don't do anything drastic without a doctor looking at you, or once in a while at least checking up on you. That's very, very important, because please, I'm a nurse. Yes, I have a medical background, but I cannot have that responsibility that in a year from now people come and say, but Leora, you said, and now that and that happened. And okay, so that cannot be my responsibility. I just want to put a few thoughts out there, and I just truly hope that it will help you. And please take out of this whatever fits to you, okay? So, as I said, I think I'm going to want to start with my weight gain story. And that is probably all we're going to have time for today. And then I think next Thursday we'll do the actual weight loss and my tips and tricks, because it's just going to be too long, and I think it is better to spread it out a little bit, so also what I'm saying now can, sink in a little bit, and then we build on that next week. So let's just see how it goes, and then we'll take it from there and go with the flow. Okay, so let's just say we are all born in perfection, because God in his creation does not make mistakes. So I was born a tiny little bit on the smaller side, even because my mom had a very, very hard pregnancy. She was already 39 years old when she had me. And it was a very hard pregnancy. She was sick most of the time. She couldn't keep any food in. So basically, I was a little bit like malnourished when I was born. And I think, and I'm just guessing now, okay? I think that was the reason why everybody started to push food down my throat as soon as I was born. And it happened to be that I loved to eat. My mom couldn't nurse me for medical reasons. So they gave me other mothers' milk, like donated breast milk, and maybe sometimes I think that's why I'm so all over the place. Like even in my family, I stick out like a sore thumb, because I sometimes think with all the mother's milk of all those different people, I get so much like different influences. That's, I don't know, just a thought. Anyway, so, and I started eating really well. It took me like 1 minute to finish a whole bottle, like a baby bottle. And everybody was so happy because I was very uncomplicated. And my brother, for example, who was 2 years older than me, he was a very fussy eater, and it was very hard. And he always made a big deal and whatever. And I was just sitting there having my bottle or having my pureed vegetables or whatever, and I was happy when I was eating. And up until this day, this is how it is. So I gained weight nicely. Everything was fine. I was a normal toddler, and the normal chubbiness that toddlers have, and everything was fine. Then I think my real weight gain started in the kindergarten years, like preschool years. I remember situations there where I already felt like the odd one out. And I remember situations where it was hard to get clothes for me. And of course, I could not put that into perspective back then. I did not understand it on an intellectual level, but I felt that I was different. And no child wants to feel like that. And I felt that it was hard for me to go up the hill with my bicycle, or, that I was way more out of breath and didn't feel good about running around on the playground. I never really liked to do that. Yeah, so things like this I still remember, even though I was very, very young. And then there was another situation that must have been the summer before I started first grade. And I remember my mom and myself walking down the street where we lived. And our neighbor, she was actually a very, very fat lady. And she used to do a lot in her garden. And basically, my mom was talking with her over the fence. And I was standing next to them, and they were talking about me like I'm not there. They were talking about me being chubby or too chubby. And basically, the bottom line of that conversation was, yeah, Leora is going to gain the weight once she starts first grade. There's going to be a lot of stress on them, a lot of stuff to do, the first graders and everything. And once she starts school, she's going to be fine. And I'm sure my mom and our neighbors, they didn't mean anything bad by that. They were just, they were concerned and they were trying to work out why I'm chubby and the solution for that, right? So, and I was standing there and I was 6 years old and I remember it to this day. I remember what that woman was wearing. I remember her hair color. I remember the way she looks. And I have forgotten most of the people from my childhood. But this woman and this situation I remember because it was so very hurtful to me. Yeah, so I started school and I did not lose weight. And from then on, it basically got worse, even, It, I don't know. I don't know. It was hard. I hated it. I was very good in school, and it was not like I was not liked by my fellow pupils in school, and I was always someone that people liked, but I myself felt that I wasn't good enough and that I wasn't perfect enough and that I couldn't fit into anything nice, and um, it just really, really bothered me ever since I can think, it bothers me. It bothers me so much. And there was a family who was nice enough to send clothes to me, and I got very, very nice clothes from that girl. But she was several years older and she was overweight, and her clothes fit me. So that's shocking right there. By the way, just please take a coffee or a tea and sit down and get a snack, a healthy one. Because, this is going to be just story time today, okay? Because I want to build the basis for the weight loss story, okay? Then the next thing that sort of stuck into my mind was, I think it was the fifth grade, when we were examined by the school nurse. They checked the height and the weight, and I think we got a vaccination. I'm not 100% sure, but I remember standing in line. The nurse was sitting behind the desk, and we were like all standing nicely in line, and the weigh scale was right in front of the nurse. And basically, you approached the desk, you stepped on the weigh scale, and you were being weighed and you're being measured, and then she put everything down in the chart. It came my turn to being weighed, and I remember that I was really, really scary of what she was gonna say, because for some reason she was saying the weights out loud. I don't know why she did that. Maybe she was just telling it to a different nurse who was writing them down. I don't remember that anymore. But most of the other kids were like normal weight. They looked normal, everything fine, the normal body proportions, everything. So now I don't remember how much I really weighed, but I remember that when she actually said that weight, that didn't make sense. And then I realized afterwards that she was just trying to be nice and not embarrass me in front of everybody else. So let's just, for an example, so you know what I'm talking about, say that everybody else weighed 30 kilos or whatever, and I weighed 52 kilos. And she then said to that other nurse 25. So she switched the digits around, you know? So that was very, very sweet of her. And yet another thing that I didn't forget, because that impressed me in the other direction, in the positive way. But it also shows you that I was really overweight already back then. The years went by. I went to become a teenager. Puberty hit, and as every teenager, I guess, I went on diets and diets and diets, and I don't know if the term in English is the same thing as in German. In German, you call it yo-yo-effect. I think I've read it in English articles too. It's basically you diet, you lose a lot of weight, and you diet in an unhealthy way. So the weight loss cannot be sustained. And you basically, after a very short time, you gain everything back. And in addition to that, maybe 2-3 kilos. So that's the yo-yo effect. And it basically just goes up and down like a yo-yo. So this is what I battled with basically for something like, I don't know, 10 years, 20 years, I don't know, a long, long time. Basically, up until I switched everything in my life. Like I turned everything around and did my weight loss now. Up until then, I had this yo-yo effect going on. There has been a time, for example, I was already married. Yeah, I was already married, and I lost 30 kilos and then I gained again. And, so I'm not just talking about losing 5 kilos and then gaining 7. I had big fluctuations in my weight. And I always ended up having a whole range of clothes in different sizes, in a different range of sizes in my cabinet because I had to, because I was going up and down. And yeah, I was even also in my weight, I was all over the place. Like now with my colors and with my styling and with my makeup. So even in that, I think Leora is just always all over the place. So I tried my best during puberty to be pretty and to be loved and to be wanted. And while my best friends started to have boyfriends and stood behind the school kissing, I was standing there, standing guard. So to tell them if a teacher is coming. So that was, it probably was, for my best interest. But at that point, it hurt. In that moment, it hurt because I was just the ugly duckling. And I think my face was never truly ugly. But it's just, let's face it, like if you have a person that looks exactly the same, but one is fat and one is normal sized, which one would a guy choose, right? So it was just very, very sad and frustrating for me. At some point, I had a boyfriend, my first boyfriend, the first love. It was beautiful. His name was Martin. I know he lives now in Berlin, and I'm not in touch with him anymore, but he saw something in me that was pure and sweet. And we were 2 years together, and we were like very innocent but very much in love. And up until this day, I'm very, very thankful for that, because it was very pure and sweet, and nothing bad to say about that. And it made me feel loved, and it made me feel cherished, and that was all good. When we broke up, it went downhill. And I was still dieting, and I was still gaining weight, and it was just a never-ending wheel of agony. And when I was thinner, because I never was really thin, when I was thinner, I was miserable because I was constantly restricting myself. When I was fat, I was obviously miracle. I was a miracle, yeah. When I was fat, I was obviously miserable because I was fat. And and then of course you have the issue of buying clothes when you're a teenager. You want to try yourself out, you're trying to find yourself. And I really truly couldn't find myself because of all the layers of fat. And I suffered, like if you are out there, you're fine, that's fine. That's wonderful. But I truly suffered. And I feel like I suffered every single day from preschool age on. Either because I was trying to be skinny, or I was fat, or I was somewhere stuck in the middle, not being here or there. For me, this whole subject has always been a reason to suffer. That goes very deep, these roots are very deep inside myself. And I think I might not be able to ever truly be okay and relaxed with this whole topic. I never realized it back then. Um, I only realized it now when I got medical attention and people who gave me their recommendations and their advice, that I was a very, very emotional eater. And that might even have its roots when I was a baby. I don't know. It could be. There are so many influences where we really don't know where they're coming from. And a lot of that is already when we're a baby, or even, when I was still in the womb and not born yet, and I felt malnourished and I wanted to thrive and I wanted to grow, and I felt I couldn't get enough. And that basically is the underlying feeling that I've always had. I can't get enough. I can't get enough. And this emotional eating is a very dangerous thing. So, for example, let's say my sister, who has been normal weight to skinny her whole life. For example, when my father died a few years ago, she basically didn't eat for a whole week. And she looked like a train wreck. She was absolutely like flat on her face. She couldn't eat and felt physically sick after my dad died. And mm, and myself, and I'm very, very embarrassed to say, but when my dad died, and he died in our house, in our guest room, the doctors were trying to resuscitate him, and then they declared him dead after 45 minutes. And he was lying there on the floor in my guest room, and it was a mess all around. And I didn't know what to do. I thought, what am I going to eat? This is how bad I was, okay? And I was at that point already in my weight loss journey, but I'm just trying to tell you, this is something that sticks with you. It's not, you cannot go like this and it's gone. These problems are problems. They're problems of addiction, potentially. Okay, so in my case, maybe, I don't know if it was addiction, but it is a mental issue that you have to deal with, and that you have to realize that something is wrong there. Okay, because I was thinking, I want to eat, I want to eat. And that's not a normal reaction to your father dying. So I was very emotional. Basically, I ate when I was sad. I ate when I was happy. I was sad. I was sad when I was lonely, yes. But I also ate when I was sad and I was lonely. I ate when I was disappointed. I ate when I ran into any kind of problems. That was my way out of the situation, of escaping reality, I guess, to a certain extent. And that's a bad place to be, because obviously you have a huge calorie intake every single day, and you might not even realize it. But going back to my puberty, okay, so at 17, I finished school and went right into nursing school to become a nurse, a registered nurse. And that took 3 years. So I just remember uh, I lived in a dormitory. Of course, there I could eat without being supervised, without anyone checking up on me. So that was, of course, heaven, huh? And hell at the same time. And I just remember the uniforms that we had to wear, how it was always tight, and I felt like a ton, and I don't know, like every one of the other nurses in training looked so much nicer, and I was always, everything was tight, and it was hard to move patients around and to bend over them and to lift them, because like everything was hard, everything was always tight on me, and it was so annoying. And also, like, I broke out in sweat all the time. Like, even without moving, I was sweating, and I always had those circles under my armpits, and it was just like. And then there is the issue of smell, like in the folds of your tummy, smell develops, and because of the sweat and the skin lying on top of each other. And I was very aware of this. Maybe there are people out there who don't care, or who are not aware of it, or I don't know, but I was aware of it, and I tried to cover all of this mess up with an over exaggerated self confidence that I didn't really feel, but I guess it was just a very, very good acting job, because everybody always thought, wow, Leora is going to rock this, and Leora knows what she's doing, and Leora has no self-doubt at all. She believes in herself and all of this. But nobody knew, not even my parents, how much I was suffering and how much I was hurting. Of course, they wanted me to be in a normal weight and everything, but I guess at some point as parents, you cannot influence your kids anymore. And then you just have to let them work stuff out on their own. And I was not there yet in the right spot to be desperate enough to actually make a change that is drastic enough to like turn my life around. So then I finished nursing school. I worked for something like 1.5 years in nursing after I finished my final exams. And then I moved to Israel, and I was overweight already. Like, I was not at my worst, but I was still overweight. And but I was moving along smoothly, and I met my husband and he liked me. so so that was nice. We got married in 2004. 3 months after our wedding, we went on a honeymoon, and when we came back from the honeymoon, I had already gained like 6 kilos. And what I never wanted was to be one of those brides that are pretty for their wedding, and then like within the first year they look totally transformed in the negative way and gain so much weight, and the next time you see them is like, what happened to you? But I was one of them. Yes, I was. And it just kept going from there. I gained something like 20 kilos just from being married. Of course, it was not from being married, but in those first 1.5 years of marriage, I gained something like 20 kilos from not eating right and from having a job as a secretary where you basically sit most of the time. And my husband never complained, but I'm just saying that was even before I got pregnant, because people mostly, start to gain weight once they have babies, and then it just gain the weight during the pregnancy and never lose it again after that. That was not the case for me. I gained most of it already beforehand. And then I got pregnant with my first child, and I gained, let me think, another 15 kilos, which is not so bad, I guess, considering what some people gain. But I never lost it. I didn't lose it. And yeah, so I got just stuck. And then I tried to lose and I lost some. And then I got pregnant with my twins. And from then on, it was just a big up and down, till after my fourth child, when I actually hit rock bottom. And that was then my highest weight that I ever had. And that was, let me just see, because I made a calculation here. So that was 123 kilos, which translates to 271 pounds. And I am 1 meter 67 tall, which is 5 feet and 6 inches. So just so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. So I was very, very fat, and I think now the time has come to show you some pictures, how I looked when I was in that situation. So here are the pictures. I'm sure you would not recognize me on the street if you would see me like that. It's very hard for me to show those pictures, and I don't even, I didn't own these pictures. Relatives have taken screenshots of pictures they had and sent them to me, so they're not the best quality, but yeah, so that's how I looked. And that's very, very shocking for me to see that today. And I hope I will experience healing at some point and to be fine with all of this and with what it did to my body, and to figure out why I had to go through this. Maybe one day I'll know. Maybe there will be a person that will come across my way and will be transformed, and then I know that's why I had to have this experience in order to help that person. But for me, like I said, it was always suffering, and I never thought it was fair, and I never could see the good in it or something. And all the self-confidence that I displayed was really just fake. So let's just call it what it is. It was fake. And that's why, and again, I'm not saying that about everyone, but these talk shows when they invite a lot of like obese people and they talk like they've got it all and they rock everything. And I do feel that I can see right through them. That when they're at home in their secret chamber and in a moment where they're truly honest to themselves, they want to be normal weight too. Anyway, the other day, a woman contacted me who who knows me from before, and she said, "Ori, you've never been obese. Yeah, you were chubby, but you were always pretty, and it's very, very sweet of you to say that. But I just want to give you some numbers, okay? I don't know if you know what the body mass index is. You can Google that. It's basically a calculation that you can do where it gives you a relationship between your height and your weight, and sometimes even also the age. It depends what kind of calculator you use, but it gives you then a range of what would be your body mass index for underweight, or the range for normal weight, or the range for overweight, or the range for obese. Okay, so with my weight that I mentioned before and my height, my body mass index was 44.1. And just for you who said that I wasn't obese, okay, the range for obese starts at 30. So that's a huge, huge way to go from 30 to 44.1. So I was at the upper end of um, second second grade. Do you say that? Second grade obesity, and it was bad. It was really bad and life threatening. I think the moment when it really clicked with me that I'm in danger was when I was pregnant with my fourth child, with Shiloh. And I actually, while I was pregnant, I was scared that I'm going to die. I was scared that I'm going to die and I'm going to take that baby inside of me with me to the grave, or that I'm going to die afterwards and I'm going to leave my husband with 4 children. And I just felt like I can't breathe when I'm lying down. I felt like my legs are swollen already in the morning, that when I swung my legs out of the bed and put my feet on the floor, that it hurt from being swollen. I was just in a very bad place. My blood pressure was always through the roof, and my blood sugar was borderline diabetic. And yeah, so it was like a total mess, and I got really, really scared. Little did I know that I had the baby, everything was fine. But then I went into like a big black hole. Maybe it was some kind of depression or something. I don't know. But I started to eat even more. And when Sheila was about 6 months old, that was when I hit rock bottom. That was when I hit those 123 kilos. And that was the worst place to be. But I felt very, very lonely. I felt very sad, and like nothing could help me ever anymore. This is it. So this is then the time when I reached out for help, when I was truly so desperate that I was ready to try the last thing. I said, no, I'm not going for surgery, or like for a stomach reduction or stomach band or whatever it's called. No, I did not have that, because that is usually the first thing I'm being asked. Well, you had surgery? No, I didn't. I know people who did have that, and good for them, but that was not really on my plan to do that. So I reached out for help to professionals. But even if you do that, if you are not there in you're inside yourself, the professionals can't help you. They can sit you down and they can talk to you about how your schedule should change and how what you're eating should change and how you should exercise and everything. And you say, yeah, okay. And you go home and you have a pizza. And but I was in that place where I said, it's now or never. If I don't turn my life around now, I'm going to die. I'm going to eat myself into the grave. And the reason why people now think I wasn't that fat is, and I've mentioned that in a different video before, is that people are getting used to the way you look. They get used to you being fat, and then their eyes don't see it so much anymore. And it's even now when my husband and I look at the pictures from back then that even he says, well, I can't remember you being like that, you looking like that. It's because you get used to that, you know? So that's just how it is, you know? People get used to the way you are, and that's it. So I got the help of a weight loss professional, and basically I saw her once a week, and I also weighed myself once a week during that time. And yeah, so the first 17 kilos I lost without anyone even noticing, because you know, when you're very fat, the first kilos you lose really, really fast, but it's not really visible yet because there's so much stuff that has to melt away. Yeah, but that was basically then when my weight loss journey started. And I think I'm going to go into that then in the next video in detail. It's just, it was a long journey. It took me 4 years. It did not need to take so long, but I was pregnant during those 4 years twice. I had another set of twins, and I had my baby, who is now almost 2 years old. So from that point, when I started my weight loss journey till I reached my weight goal, which was back then 70 kilos. And I've lost another 8 kilos in addition to that because I wanted to, but I'm fine. I'm there already for a long time. It took 4 years. So there is no solution, like a quick fix. I don't believe in that. Okay, you can do crash diets and it's not going to help you. It's always going to like trick your body into thinking wrong things, and then you're substituting with food and it's just going to get worse. So I highly, highly, highly recommend not to do that ever. Even if you want to lose weight for a wedding, or if you want to go to prom and look nice, or whatever the reason may be, don't do it. Make the decision to change your life now for the good, you know, and not just for the quick fix. What I still wanted to include in this video is that in the end, bottom line, I lost 60 kilos, which, one second, is 132 pounds. And I'm super, super proud of myself. I know that I didn't do it on my own. I know that God carried me through this. And I know that a lot of people showed a lot of love and understanding while I was on this journey. Also my family, who really, really supported me. They had to go through a whole lot, and I'm going to go into this some other time, what the effect for your family is, you know, and also how it is affecting me still now and my family, because it'll never be really over. Okay. Yeah. So I lost 60 kilos, and I just want to tell you that now I weigh 62 kilos, which is 136 pounds. And just to go back to the body mass index to show you that I'm now in the normal range, because people always say you're so tiny and you should eat and you're too thin. Okay, so my body mass index is now 22.2. And that is exactly in the normal range. The normal range starts at 18.5 and goes up to 24.9. So I'm exactly in the middle of the normal range of the body mass index, and that is an international way of calculating like weight issues. Okay, so I think this is what I want to leave it with for today. Now you know a little bit about my story, my struggles, how painful it was. I mean, I've not gone on camera now crying about it because I'm trying to like distance myself in a healthy way from that time of my life when I was so suffering from this, just because I don't want the past to determine my future in that way. There is enough that spills over to the future, but I don't want to take those pains into my present life more than I need to. Okay, there are certain issues that definitely still affect me today and will also probably for my whole life, but I don't want to take that pain with me in a sick way and hold on to it. And I want to accept that I'm thin now and that I worked hard for it and that amazing things are happening now for me in the fashion business. Also, in addition to me losing the weight and putting in the effort and being really, really passionate about it. I cried a lot because I was fat. I was very, very desperate. I felt like I'm the loneliest person in the whole world. And I tried to fill that void with food because basically food was not just food, it was my friend. And sometimes it was my only friend. And even in a marriage, when you're truly happy and nothing is wrong and you're totally in love, but sometimes still food was my only friend and my worst enemy at the same time, because at the moment I was eating, it was my true friend, my comfort and my everything. The second I had finished eating, and that's why I also dreaded to be ever done with a meal, and that's why the meals were so big. um, the moment I was done eating, that true friend, there was my friend just like 1 minute ago, became my worst enemy. And then all the guilt came, and I felt bad about myself. And basically, then I needed a true friend again to comfort me. So you know where I'm going with this, okay? Um, it was like a whole big, like a hamster wheel of being miserable. And I'm so glad I'm not there anymore. And really, for the glory of God's name, I'm so, so thankful how my life has turned around and how my blood pressure is fine and how my blood sugar is fine and all my other blood values when I go to have my blood checked out, everything is 100% in the normal range. And it's just wonderful to have that experience, you know, to also like the joints in my knees, everything had hurt, everything was burning, everything was hard. So I don't have that anymore. My joints are fine. I stopped the excessive sweating. I'm much less smelly now. And yeah, so a lot of things have changed for the good. And how I did that, I'm going to go into that next week. I hope you'll come back for that video as well. And I hope I could like ignite a little spark in you to really want to see that next video as well. I want to encourage you to share my video if you want to, if there are people you know who maybe might want to see this or might benefit from that, then feel free to share and to comment. You know, if you have any questions, maybe the questions will come up much more than after the next video. But if you have questions, you can send them to me. I'll take screenshots. I'll put them down into writing. I will get back to that. And maybe I'll do a whole question and answer video about that whole subject then as a follow-up video or something. Everything is possible. Please be in touch. I really enjoy to hear your stories or your feelings about it. So feel free to leave your comments in the comment section. And if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe to our beauty tribe. Let me be your queen. I truly always want to give myself and my everything into this, and in everything that is happening right now in my life. Also, besides YouTube, there's a lot of stuff going on that is truly a blessing and is opening up so many possibilities, more than I ever thought I would have in my entire life, is happening now, right now. And I cannot tell you about this now because it's just too much. But at some point I will, when everything is like finalized. I'm going to talk to you about it, just so you know I'm here with you. I'm doing my best, and I'm giving you all my heart and my love and my blessings. I just really want you to be blessed by what I'm doing here and what God is doing through me for you, God willing. And let me know if you are the one out there that I'm living for, that that I had to go for through this whole weight loss journey, to encourage you or to help you to switch your life around. Let me know. You can also like private message me or something if you don't want to be so public about it. But you find my whole social media, everything in the description box. This is where you can contact me. Of course, also in the comment section, as I mentioned. And then we're going to meet each other on Monday for the next wrapping tutorial. That's going to be fun. I love those videos a lot. So please come back for that and for Leora's latest looks. And then next Thursday, God willing, for my weight loss story part 2. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed. I hope it wasn't too boring for you, but it's sort of, we are building a relationship here. And I think it's very important for you to know where I'm coming from in order to understand the measures I took to actually lose the weight and how passionate I am about it up until this day. And yeah, so I hope this was for your benefit, and I'll see you next time here. And up until then, I truly love all of you. Hugs and kisses. Bye.